When you're making your estate plan, you have a number of goals. Not only getting your property to the right members of your family who you think should have that property, coming up with a fair distribution of your property, maybe planning for long-term care. These are all legitimate goals that you're thinking through. When I meet with people, what comes up time and time again is another issue, and that's probate avoidance. People hear that they should avoid probate, but they don't really understand what probate is, or maybe they've been through probate with the loss of a loved one and they left a bad taste in their mouth and they want to avoid it. So I thought I'd address some of the issues surrounding probate and why you want to avoid it and how you avoid it. So my name is Patrick Cawley. I'm an estate planning and elder law attorney with Keystone Elder Law in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. I guide people not only through that proactive planning where probate avoidance seems to come up a lot, but also I guide families through the probate process and other types of administration of an estate after a person passes away. So here are some of the reasons why people want to avoid probate. The first is it's a court-supervised process, so there are filing fees to even get into court to start the probate process. I will tell you in Pennsylvania the filing fees are fairly reasonable compared to some other states. Another reason people want to avoid probate is the attorney fees. Some people have tried to do it themselves and they find out that it is a very time-intensive undertaking. There's a lot of details. You're dealing with creditors, insurance companies. You have to meet certain deadlines for inheritance taxes and so forth. So most people will rely on a law firm like mine that knows all of these steps along the process and makes everything go fluidly, but people don't want to pay any more than they have to. There is a sliding scale approved by the Pennsylvania courts in Pennsylvania. Most states don't have that. So the fees are not unreasonable because the court has approved them, but it's more money that people would like to have in their own family, and that's a subject for another video. But filing fees with the court and attorney's fees, if those can be avoided, those are reasons why people want to avoid probate. The more legitimate and really understandable reasons why people want to avoid probate would be that it ties up property for at least a year. So, there's no immediate distribution of money or real estate with probate because it has to go through this process that has certain deadlines built into it, and it takes a while. The other reason is if the person who passed away had been receiving long-term care benefits through the Medicaid program, which is a lot of people, then Medicaid gets in line as a creditor and tries to get their claws on money or even real estate, force the sale of a house to get paid back for the cost of all that care. So if you can plan ahead for long-term care in a way that avoids probate, at least for certain items of property like a house, then you preserve those assets. So avoiding probate in that way is extremely important. And that's, again, a subject for other videos and something I'd be happy to talk to you about. So how do you actually avoid probate? Well, you either own property in a way that does not go through probate, or you put it into a trust. So ways that you would have property that doesn't go through probate, you jointly own property with your spouse. You can jointly own your property with anyone, but I have another video on why you might not want to do that with a child, having a child on a bank account, for example. There are some pitfalls there. But joint ownership does avoid probate when the first person passes away because the surviving owner just continues to own the property. No probate necessary. Another way is if all of your money is in an insurance policy or an IRA or other retirement account, it goes through a beneficiary designation. It doesn't go through your will or through the probate process at all. It just, you notify the company who holds that money and they pay it out to whoever you listed during your life. So that avoids probate. There are some pitfalls there, of course, as well, and I will address that separately in another video. Finally, most people avoid probate by putting property into a trust of one kind or another. There are many kinds of trusts, and you might do it as part of avoiding probate because you know you want to plan for long-term care. You don't want Medicaid coming back after your house. You want to preserve that house or the value of the house for your family. So anything owned in trust does not go through probate the way that a will does or the way that it does if somebody has no estate planning at all. A trust is a private agreement. So if you have questions about what probate is, how you avoid probate, especially in certain circumstances like long-term care, let me know. Send me an email at info@keystoneelderlaw.com or give us a call, 717 697-3223. I'd be happy to answer your questions.